As we get ready for the meal, we might want to put aside our Seder plate and bring in our matzah. We've just made the bracha for the bread, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Yes, this is a type of bread, of course unleavened. And after making the blessing for bread, we're ready to make the special bracha for the matzah. On this night of Pesach, it's actually a mitzvah to eat the matzah. And so the next blessing we make is exactly for that. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. We bless God who has commanded us to eat the matzah. As we know, the matzah, as we read at the beginning of the Seder, is the bread of affliction. But it also symbolizes the fact that as the children of Israel were preparing to leave, they didn't have time to have the dough rise and then make loaves of bread. So they were able to make this flat bread. Some actually say that in the old days, the wayfarers, those few thousand years ago, would actually make this type of bread in order to take with them, because it's much easier to pack a few of these into your backpack than it is a number of loaves. This mitzvah of al achilat matzah is special to my family because it reminds us of our late grandfather. When he would make this bracha with us at the Seder, he would shout in fervor the last few words of the bracha, al achilas matzah, for the eating of the matzah. And then he'd munch away at his matzah. And what was interesting though, for the rest of the week of Pesach, even though we're only supposed to make this blessing on the first night, because that's when it's a mitzvah to eat together with the maror that we'll do straight after this, and with the paschal lamb that used to be eaten in the times of the temple, that's the only time we actually need to make the bracha of al achilat matzah. But he would make it every day, every time that he ate matzah during those 8 days of Pesach. And that's very special to me, not just because of the fun that we have even today, 25 years after he's passed away. Still, my sisters and now my nieces and nephews as well, we all shout together, Al Achilas Matzah, when we make this blessing at the Seder. But it reminds me of the traditions that my grandfather has passed on to all of us. He was a man who, if you looked at him, you wouldn't have known that he was particularly religious. He didn't wear a head covering of any sort when he went out to work. But at home, he would pray 3 times a day. If he couldn't get to shul on Shabbat, then he would read the whole parasha, the whole section of the Torah for that week by himself, and the Haftarah from the prophets as well. And he was insistent on passing over to us these wonderful family traditions that we all have that are so much part of the Jewish world today. Eating the matzah, which is part of what we do tonight, is so special at this time as well. Is this the bread of the affliction that is out there, that is in our streets, perhaps even in our families? Do we know people who are ill from corona? Do we know people who are suffering, people who have to be isolated? There are many people for various reasons, whether they're elderly or have other ailments, have to self-isolate and therefore might be watching this on the very night of Pesach, because this is the way to have a Seder, to be with other people. Bread of affliction is not just the affliction of our ancestors so many years ago, but it's the bread that can remind us of the many afflictions that are out there today, whether they be ones that have come from nature or from God, or whether they be ones that are man-made. And there are so many afflictions that are man-made. So when we eat this matzah tonight at Pesach, we should think about the matzah of joy on the one hand, through which we celebrate the fact that our people were brought out of Egypt and were able to become what we now know as the Jewish people. But at the very same time that we remember our redemption from Egypt and are happy for that, at the very same time we will remember those who are afflicted. And this matter will remind us of them as well, whether they're afflicted by nature, by God, by us. We will remember all of that and hold both the joy and the affliction together as we eat this matzah. Chag Sameach.